What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new video. It is I, as always, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez, certainly coming through once again with a very impromptu episode for you guys here today. Wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit of Power Ranger news for you guys, as today we actually did have ourselves the Hasbro Investor Call for their first quarter, if you will. We had the opportunity to kind of sit in on the investors meeting today. Hasbro did, in fact, broadcast that live to the public, along with a Q&A session towards the very end also. So it's some information in here that I definitely wanted to go ahead and share with you guys. So that's the reason why we're doing this video today. But listen, we wanted to also kind of get you guys hyped for the idea that, listen, we're like 2 days away from a brand new Power Rangers Dino Fury episode and another episode of APlus Morphinominal, as always, going live Saturday at noon Central Time, guys. So certainly go ahead and follow us there also. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about Power Rangers and any information that wind up coming out of the investor call. Now, listen, investor call meetings are technically not really for the fans so much as they are really for the investors, the people that actually put money towards this particular company. And the investor call is really a sense to kind of showcase those investors, those people that are financially invested in this company, all the things that they have plans to do for the upcoming season, to really let their investors know how they're going to certainly make money for them, if you will, right? So the introduction of brand new products, a ton of finance numbers, right? Big words, if you will, if you're not used to the business side of things and things like that. But they usually do kind of give us a little bit of a sneak peek as the trajectory that they plan on certainly going towards. And they usually throughout the year will keep us up to date with future investor calls for each quarter of the year. So yeah, it can be a little bit boring, to say the least, if you went into this investors calls with the idea of we're going to get a ton of Power Ranger news and Dino Fury news. That's not always how it certainly works out. I mean, they do reveal some things for sure, but the first quarter here was a little bit slow when it comes to Power Ranger news, or at least in regards to things that we didn't necessarily know before. But I will say one of the big emphasis that they continue to do here in regards to the investors meeting was really just to continue to solidify the idea that Jonathan Entwistle is in fact the architect to reimagine and reinvent this Power Ranger franchise. They even referenced the idea of creating a new universe for a broader audience across film, premium TV, which is usually like streaming, series type of thing, animation, and kids content. I believe it was Olivier Dumont also referenced the idea that when it comes to animation, the appetite for animation has never been higher. So it would not surprise me if they definitely have plans behind the scenes in order to do something animation-wise. So again, really iterating the idea that they are reinventing a brand new universe and continue to solidify that concept and idea. Another thing that they really continue to push that I could really found appealing, because I feel like while the future of Power Rangers is very much in flux and a big question mark, we also want to know where our shows that we love when it comes to Power Rangers are going to be presented. And I feel very much as though Hasbro is very much continuing to stick with the idea of streaming services and really putting a lot of their eggs in that particular basket. There was actually an article from I think it was CNBC, did a talk with Brian Goldner himself. And in response to their plans, because they mentioned the idea that they want to capitalize on major companies like Disney, HBO, and Paramount launching their own sort of rival services, they did at least reference the idea that Hasbro has no plans for its own service, right? We've kind of talked about that here before in APlus Morphinominal, the idea that the purchase of Entertainment One, while they certainly have enough content to go ahead and launch their own streaming services, it feels very much as though that's definitely not their plan. Brian Goldner himself says it does give us the opportunity as an independent to go out and present world-class, powerful brand IP to those streaming services like Netflix, Apple, Amazon, and several others who used to have access to other people's content and are now looking for great brands, right? When they talk about rival services like Disney, HBO, and Paramount, they're referring to the idea that those streaming services, those are their own IP. Right? They're not out there really sharing anything with anybody else. They're not really trying to bring in too much stuff also, if you will. And, other streaming services like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, like Apple, like they've all been sort of gouged out of their own, out of the properties that they used to showcase, right? Now that Paramount's up, Peacock's up, we see shows like, The Office or Parks and Rec and things like that. Friends being taken off of some of these other services because, again, HBO, Disney, NBC, Paramount, they all want their own particular content. But there are streaming services out there that don't have their own IP, that can't really sort of survive on their own original content. So it seems as though Hasbro certainly wants to be very open-minded in still allowing them to, Hasbro to and Entertainment One, to create their own product and then certainly license it out to other streaming services. So it definitely feels as though they're not necessarily content in sticking with just one particular streaming service and having all their content just go to one particular place. They're really kind of eliminating risk, as they say, right? Spreading content around also kind of helps sort of spread the risk also, if you will, right? You don't have all your eggs in one basket. You get the opportunity to launch some of your IP on various different streaming services. So I think they are very much aware that the idea of linear television, like cable services, are very much going defunct these days. I mean, the idea of to really get eyes on your product, it's almost like you have to be attached with the streaming service these days. And so I love the idea that they that's their mindset going into it, that they really want to spread the wealth in regards to their content. So for me, it still very much opens up the door as to where Power Rangers is certainly going to be. They did reference the idea that Dino Fury is very much a Nickelodeon and Netflix series also. They didn't specify, while they did specify Dino Fury is in fact going to be 2 seasons. They definitely clarified that. They just did not clarify as to, is all of it going to come onto Nickelodeon? Have we extended this contract with Nickelodeon for Power Rangers? That's the information that they definitely did not drop for us, but they at least reference. So if anything, I would assume Dino Fury, maybe after it airs, maybe after its first season, maybe the first season will also go to Netflix per whatever licensing agreement that they certainly might have. They also explained the Power Ranger move to YouTube. Because of the fact that Hasbro, they referenced that they're a leader in direct to consumer, the idea of YouTube being really big for their past content, and they are making great revenue also in regards to some of their past content that they already have, from like Peppa Pig, PJ Masks, and things like that. They reference their particular YouTube pages and just the amounts of revenue that those shows are certainly making. So when they announced the idea of Power Rangers going to YouTube, it certainly makes sense as to why they're doing that, because the revenue there is certainly really beneficial to them. So I thought that was pretty important for them to clarify why they decided to move some of their past Power Ranger seasons there also. But yeah, it just allows them to have really the idea of Hasbro being the leader in direct to consumer, having all this creative freedom, if you will. It really does allow them to have full control of their creative and their production also when it comes to Power Rangers and things like that. So listen, guys, I'm really excited for this. I truly am. I do wish that we got a little bit more detail and information, but when you're trying to literally formulate a huge universe like this, that seems to be that they'll have some connective tissues, right? I'm sure that there's a lot of information that we as viewers and the public certainly are not privy to, while Jonathan Entwistle and the rest of the team certainly work on stuff behind the scenes, to say the least. So Hopefully, who knows when we'll certainly get further details outside of that. But in time, whenever they're certainly ready to go ahead and reveal information to us, I'm pretty sure that they definitely will. But we certainly have to work as a fan, and we certainly have to work on the idea of patience for sure. But for me, I continue to get excited for the future, regardless of how scary it certainly can be for some people, right? But this definitely feels as though Hasbro is certainly putting their best foot forward. And I'm sure once they actually, I have a feeling like a lot of the stuff that they're doing right now is probably very much sort of early development, trying to find the correct writers. And that's another thing that they talked about. The idea of having Entertainment One really does open up the opportunity for them to have new writers and new visions on some of their IPs, being able to kind of sink their teeth into it also. So I'm pretty sure that there's a ton of stuff that's in early development, whether trying to figure out what they're going to give the green light on, if you will. And I'm sure Jonathan Entwistle and Brian Edward Hill are hard at work to go ahead and give us a Power Ranger movie also. So they definitely continue to have plans for Power Rangers on all fronts in different types of medium. So they definitely have a plan in mind also. But other than that, guys, I think that's pretty much all I had from my notes. They had a couple things that they mentioned from like G.I. Joe and Transformers. There's like a new Transformers animated series that's going to be dropping on Nickelodeon. Amazon's going to be getting a G.I. Joe series also, if you will. I think it was Lady Jane they referred to as getting their own a series also on Amazon. So you already get the opportunity to see that they have no problem in creating the content themselves and then going out and licensing it to somebody else to be on several different streaming services. So interesting stuff, to certainly say the least. But guys, listen, at the end of the day, I definitely want to go ahead and know your thoughts in regards to all the stuff that you hear. Again, they definitely are reaffirming the idea of reimagining, creating a new universe. Again, it's little things like that. No reference of Toei. I have no idea as to if this Hasbro and Toei split is truly happening, but the more and more that they continue to say new universe, reboot, reimagining, it definitely makes me feel like how we used to view Power Rangers is certainly going to change in vastly different ways going forward, and they really have a different vision. So we'll see what that vision certainly looks like. But again, no confirmation, but again, they definitely are pushing very heavily that Power Rangers is being taken in a different direction. But guys, at the end of the day, I want to know your thoughts. Let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below if you want to go ahead and continue this conversation, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, if any more information winds up dropping, we'll definitely go ahead and talk to you guys about it this weekend, along with any other news in regards to the Power Ranger or Tokusatsu world. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, do me a big favor. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other, and as always, keep it A+. May the power protect you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.